What's up, everyone? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and this is a very exciting video because we are here to learn how to play the Digimon card game. No, not that one. Not that one either. Certainly not that one. I'm talking about this one. Digimon is back for a brand new card game, simply called Digimon Card Game. It was released in Japan in 2020, and recently it's been announced that an English version of this game is on its way and will be here early next year. So you might think that you need to wait until then to start playing this awesome game with your friends, but no, you'd be wrong. Digimon Card Game already has a dedicated and growing English-speaking community that has put in some incredible work setting up a Discord, translating all the cards, and putting together this absolutely phenomenal tabletop simulator mod that you see here. It lets you build decks using English cards and play with your friends or members of the Digimon Card Game community. There will be links to the Discord in the description of this video, and to this mod, and to the sweet Digimon deck building website the community uses. But assuming you have all that, you still need to know how to play the game, and that's exactly what we're going to cover here today. The game is built around this memory gauge you see in the center of the screen, which is a shared resource between both players, and is how you pay for the cards that you play on your turn. So it goes from 10 in your area to 0, and then 0 to 10 in your opponent's area. If, say, the counter is on 4 on my turn and I play an Agumon here, I move the memory counter to 1 because I had to pay the cost listed on the card of 3. Since the counter is still 0 or above on my side, it's still my turn, and I can play another card. Say, for example, this Agumon. This card costs 5, so I move the counter 5 spaces, leaving it on my opponent's 4. Since the counter has gone past 0 and has left my side, my turn immediately ends and my opponent gets a chance to play cards and to attack. As you saw, me playing a 5-cost card pushed the memory into my opponent's area. Imagine for a moment that instead I had played this 10-cost card here. The memory would have gone all the way to the opponent's 9, meaning they would have had a huge amount of memory to use before being required to pass the turn back to me. This push and pull of memory usage is one of the core elements of the Digimon game, and one of the main focuses of strategy during gameplay. So, you got a quick look at Agumon, a second Agumon card, and Hyandramon thus far. So, let's break this down a little bit and discuss the different parts of a Digimon card and what all the information presented here means. As we saw, this is the cost of the card in the upper left-hand side. In order to play this Digimon from your hand onto the battlefield, you must pay this cost on the memory gauge. Below that, however, is an Evo cost in red on these particular cards. This is how much memory it costs to digivolve this Digimon onto an existing Digimon of the listed level. So, for example, my Greymon here is a level 4, and you can digivolve from this level 3 Agumon for a cost of 2. I don't have to pay the full cost of 5, since I'm digivolving onto Agumon, I only have to pay the 2. Of course, I always have the option of paying the top cost and playing the Greymon, in this case, outright, if I don't, for example, have any level 3 Digimon to digivolve onto. This large number here in the upper right-hand side is the Digimon's power, or DP. This is how strong the Digimon is, and the indicator on whether a Digimon wins in a battle. When battling other Digimon, higher DP survives, and in the case of a tie, both Digimon are destroyed. Moving down the card, some Digimon will have ability text listed here below the art, like our second Agumon did. Digimon Card Game does a good job of listing keywords for when the ability is used or active, such as when attacking, your turn, when played, opponent's turn, and so on. Below the art is the Digimon's level. You can see it right here. And this is mainly used to track evolutionary chains. So you digivolve a level 3 onto a level 2, a level 4 onto a 3, a 5 onto a 4, and so on. Next to the level, of course, we have the name, and below that, at the bottom of the card, we have another very unique aspect of the Digimon card game, which is the Inheritable Ability. Not all Digimon will have one, but this is an ability that this Digimon doesn't currently have, But when you Digivolve another card on top of it, the new Digimon will inherit this ability. This continues on for each evolution, so a level 6 Digimon can have up to 4 inherited skills. And we see some here on the board so far. Our first Agumon that we looked at has the inheritable skill of your turn. This Digimon gets plus 1000 DP. So Agumon himself, when it's just Agumon on the field, does not have that ability, but if I Digivolved Greymon on top of Agumon, suddenly Greymon now has that ability, giving him plus 1000 DP. Of course, if you can play Digimon, so can your opponent, and these Digimon are destined to fight. There are 2 ways to make Digimon fight in this game. The first is using one of your Digimon to attack a rested opponent Digimon. Rested is when a card is turned sideways, or tapped if you're used to the Magic the Gathering terminology. A card facing normally is active, and when it's on its side, it is considered rested. Importantly, only rested Digimon can be attacked directly, and you must rest your Digimon in order to declare an attack. So attacking opens you up for a counter attack. Keep that in mind. Battles are very simple. You just compare the DP of the attacking Digimon to that of the defending Digimon. If the attacker is higher, the defender is destroyed. If the defender is higher, the attacker is destroyed. And if they are equal, then both are destroyed. The second type of attack you can make is a security attack, which is like attacking your opponent directly. Each player starts the game with 5 cards over to the side called their security, and these are face down. Think of this like your shields. When the shields are depleted, it only takes 1 more hit and you lose the game. When you make a security attack with a Digimon, the topmost security card is revealed and discarded. If it's a Digimon card, a security battle will ensue. You compare the DP of the attacker versus that of the defending security Digimon that was flipped over. However, in this case, even if the defender wins or ties, it's still discarded, though it kills the attacking Digimon as well in that process. Some cards will even have special security abilities that activate when they are flipped during a security attack, but we'll get to those in just a second. Attacking, eliminating your opponent's security, and then performing 1 more attack is the main way to win in the Digimon card game. Keep in mind that a security attack ignores any Digimon your opponent may have, whether they are active or not. The only way an opponent's Digimon can affect a security attack is if the Digimon has a special keyword blocker. If so, they may rest the blocker Digimon and redirect a security attack to it. From there, regular battle rules apply. Digimon aren't the only type of card in the Digimon card game, however. We also have option cards like Terraforce here on the left, and tamer cards like Tai here on the right. Options are cards you play from your hand by paying their cost in memory. Then, once their effect is resolved, you put them into your trash pile. They're often powerful effects like making your Digimon stronger or destroying your opponent's Digimon like Terraforce here does. There's one additional requirement for playing an option card in addition to the cost. You must already control a card of the same color in order to play it. So, since we have Greymon here on the board, we're able to play Terraforce. While an option goes to the trash once you use it, a tamer stays on the battlefield like a Digimon. They'll have abilities that will continue to affect the game turn after turn. Tai here, for example, gives all of your Digimon a DP boost. Tamer cards do not require you to already control a card of a matching color before you play it. That only applies to option cards. Finally, at the bottom of both of these cards, you can see a section labeled Security. These are special card abilities that are activated when the card is flipped over when your opponent attacks your security. In both of these cases, you essentially get to play the card for free. It's a nice consolation prize for being attacked, that's for sure. Next, we need to discuss the phases of a turn. First is the active phase. This one's quite simple. You just make all your cards active, turning them back upright if they had been previously rested. Next is the draw phase where, you guessed it, you draw a card. The only caveat here is that if you cannot draw a card during this phase because your deck is empty, you lose the game. After drawing comes the raising phase, which concerns this raising area here. We'll discuss that in just a second, but to finish out the phases, the raising phase is followed by the main phase. The main phase is where the majority of the game happens, where you play Digimon, evolve Digimon, play Tamers and Options, and attack, and you can do those things in any order and as many times as you'd like, memory permitting and active Digimon permitting. Some important things to note here about the main phase that we haven't discussed yet. You may digivolve a Digimon onto any same colored Digimon, and when you do, you draw a card. Different colored Digimon cannot digivolve. Finally, after the main phase is the end of your turn. This happens as soon as the memory gauge is at 1 or more on the opponent's side. You resolve any pending effects or actions before the turn changes. And no, you can't get one last attack in or anything like that. The turn ends immediately as soon as the memory gauge enters your opponent's area. Now, back to the raising phase. Thus far, level 3 is the lowest Digimon level I've shown you, but those cards reference being able to evolve from a level 2. Level 2 Digimon are special and are contained within this separate up to 5 card deck that is placed here in the raising area. Level 2 Digimon are special because they have no DP and no cost. They're blank slates, and they must be digivolved in order to move out of the safety of the raising area and into the battle area. The raising area is separate from the battle area and is protected from attack, from being targeted by cards, and anything else your opponent might have going on. It's safe. However, your Digimon in the raising area can't attack. During the raising phase, you get one action that you can perform, and there are 2 possible actions that can be carried out. First, you can hatch an egg if you don't currently have one by flipping over the top card of the egg deck here. Once you do that, you move to the main phase. Your other action you can carry out is to move a level 3 or higher Digimon out of the raising area and into the battle area. You only get one action during the raising phase, so you do not then get to flip your next egg. This has to wait until your next turn. This is an easy mistake for beginners to make, so watch out for that one. During your main phase, you can digivolve onto raising area Digimon. However, if the card has a when digivolved effect, it does not activate. You do draw a card like normal, however. Likewise, when moving a Digimon out of the raising area to the battle area, you don't get any when played effect it might have. Think of it as the cost of staying safe and sound in the raising area. And that is how you play the Digimon card game. Decks are 50 cards with the 5-card egg decks, and you can have up to 4 copies of a card in your deck. Note that the set number is what's used to track uniqueness, not name, so you can have multiple Agumon in your deck as long as each set of 4 has a different set number. Thus far in Japan, 3 booster sets exist: New Evolution, Ultimate Power, and the soon-to-be-released Union Impact. For the English audience, we'll be getting English copies of the 3 starter decks, red, yellow, and blue. These starters are actually worth picking up. They have unique cards you can only find there, and at least in Japan, they're pretty cheap. After that, we'll be getting Release Special Booster 1.0, which will contain an assortment of cards from the first 3 Japanese boosters. Soon after that, we'll be getting Release Special Booster 1.5, which should complete that set of cards, giving us everything available through the Japanese original 3 booster sets. And after that, hopefully, we stay relatively current with the Japanese releases. They're certainly working to catch the English audience up pretty quickly with these first 3 boosters, so it seems as if that's something that will be kept up with, and we won't have to wait, half a year until we get the booster sets in English released, which is super, super cool. So this has just been a quick overview of the Digimon card game. If you have specific questions, like you need to look up ability descriptions, or you want to read the FAQ, or anything along those lines, check out the full rulebook or hop into the Discord and ask some questions. I hope you enjoy learning to play this game as much as I have.